Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from forexfornews.com for those who don't know. Time is 11 a.m. here in the UK. Today's Thursday, the 25th of October 2018. You're looking at a GBP/USD daily chart. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking at all of these pairs for price action setups. When I say price action setups, I mean continuations, reversals, all kinds of price action setups. Going to kick things off with looking at the news for today. So, there's not really that much going on today in terms of news. Only 3 significant things. Main refinancing rate, not really bothered with that. Core durable goods, not really bothered with that. It's coming out at the same time as the ECB press conference. Well, the ECB press conference isn't coming out. It's just a press conference. Let's see what this one's actually about. Oh, this is the normal. The normal post. Yeah, I mean, just be careful around this. I'm not too worried about the minimum, the main refinancing rate itself, but the press conference afterwards can be can affect the market. So do be careful for that. Definitely wouldn't want to be in a 1 hour chart trade around that time on the euro, or a 15-minute chart trade. You know, some of the lower time frames we trade, wouldn't want to be in one of those trades with the euro. It's a bit too risky. If it's a daily chart trade, I would hold through it. But yeah. Right, so. Hey Jacob. Hey Edward, Paul, Steve, Zila. Hey everyone. Well, that covers the news today. There's nothing much to worry about until the press conference. Do be careful about with the press conference. It can cause unexpected moves in the market. Just another quick announcement, guys. We were talking recently in the forum about stop hunting. I posted this to the forum, but for those who haven't seen it, we were talking about stop hunting, and I was explaining why, in my opinion, stop hunting does not exist in Forex. And I went pretty in-depth into an explanation as to how the Forex market works. But then after that, I was thinking, how much of this is fact and how much is based on my assumptions? And beyond that, I also wanted to know if there was some things about the Forex market that I didn't yet understand, about the inner workings of the Forex market. This is not the trading side of things. The trading side of things, you know, I feel like I have a very good understanding of. But I mean the inner workings of how brokers process orders and all that kind of stuff. So I got in touch with someone I know who used to work for brokers. And I asked a lot of questions. And to be honest, it was completely fascinating, everything I learned from him. So I wanted to hold a webinar where I interview this guy and ask him questions. And also, it would be a live webinar, so you guys can ask questions too. I posted this to the forum for feedback. It's in the announcements sections. Please check it out and give your thoughts, and also give suggestions as to the questions that would be asked. It sounds like people are pretty excited for this webinar, so I think I will go ahead with it. But it's going to be nice to have some questions, some suggested questions, and just a bit more feedback on it. Anyway, let's get into the actual analysis. So GBP/USD has, we were looking for a possible setup here, but it never really happened. I mean, it just kept moving down. So it's unfortunate, really, because I was looking for a range to form here. I was hopeful that we were going to get range forming here, but so far it doesn't look like it. That being said, today it is pulling back, and ranges can sometimes be a bit tricky, and support resistance can sometimes be a bit misleading, depending where you have it placed. I mean, we could place this area down here, and if price bounces away, then we could say, oh, this is the range. But having this area placed here makes it look like it's outside of the range. So I'm just saying support resistance can be a little tricky. This support resistance area in particular is a little tricky because it can be lower for sure based on those bounces. It can be a bit higher. To be fair, this entire area is a mess of support resistance. And because price hasn't really been here often, it's hard to get a solid, good support resistance area. I mean, how often has price been down here on GBP USD? Briefly over here, which was post-Brexit 2016, briefly across through this area. Then 2017 August, so just about a year ago essentially, it was here again. Got up above it, and now it's here again. So it's not like price is down in these areas often, so it's hard to get good support resistance areas. So what I'm saying is let's not completely rule out the possibility of a range here. But that being said, it does look like price is starting to move back down. So, you know, it's looking less and less likely that price is going to start ranging between these two areas. It looks like price is getting below it, and yeah. So let's keep an eye on this. But right now, I don't really see any imminent setups on GBP USD. Euro USD is heading down, but like GBP USD, it's for market open like 13 hours ago. So sorry, not the market. This candle opened 13 hours ago. So the market essentially closed 13 hours ago. This candle has not even got a lower wick. I mean, zoom in, there's no, oh, actually, there is a lower wick, about a 1 pip lower wick or something like that, maybe even less than a pip. Insignificant. Point is, bears have not been able to push down at all in the last 13 hours from the open of the candle. Obviously, they've been able to push down from the high, but not from the open of the candle. So this is kind of a sign that sellers or bears are getting weaker right now. I've been waiting for price to hit this support area on Euro USD. That way we can get into a similar trade that you see here. See this reversal here. But right now it's not looking good for signs that the bears are gonna drop down any further. They could do, but right now it's not looking that great. So again, I'm just going to keep an eye on this, see if it hits this support area. If it does, I'll be looking for a long trade from the support area. But right now, it doesn't look like bears are that strong. I mean, this could turn at any moment, though. Just because bears aren't strong right now, it doesn't mean in 3 hours bears aren't going to go boom and shoot down. It's just right now, it doesn't look too strong. EURJPY, now this one's a bit interesting. This one's stalling out on top of this support area. We're getting a nice little indecision candle. I'm definitely looking for a long here. If you're trading the 12-hour, which I'm probably not going to do because this is messy as is, so I don't really want to counter this on the 12-hour. I'm probably going to just wait for the daily, really. But I say that sometimes, and then I just get tempted to enter because I see prices. I see that the daily is not. It's going to move too fast if I wait for the daily, so I'll enter on the 12-hour. But you know that's pretty rare. Normally I stick to my original assessment. So I'm waiting for the daily. Doesn't mean you personally should wait for the daily. I know I say this 100 times. I say this in almost every analysis session, but it's something that needs to be repeated because there's always new people watching the analysis. it all comes down to your appetite for risk. So I don't really like taking big risks. I'm very risk averse. I prefer to wait for the daily when I can. Whereas other traders, they like taking bigger risks. There's no right or wrong way, really. My way means I get more winning trades. Now, that might sound like it's a good idea, but not necessarily, because number one, my way is also more boring because you have to wait a lot longer, which doesn't suit a lot of people. My way means you take less trades because you miss out on those moves that happen on the lower time frames because you're waiting for the daily usually. So my way, you get more wins, but it's a bit more boring. Might not suit everyone. If you're entering on the 12-hour, the 8-hour, the 6-hour, then you're going to take more losses, but you're going to be in a lot more trades overall. And if you're in a lot more trades, you could end up actually being more profitable despite the fact that you take more losses just because you are taking more trades. So don't just blindly follow me and do what I'm doing. If you want to enter on the 12-hour, you just need to accept, okay, this is slightly more risky, but I might get in and it might work well for me. Or it might not work well for me, but hey, at least I've taken more trades. So it just depends on your approach. Now, this is not to say that I never trade the 4-hour or 6-hour. It's just, generally speaking, I prefer to wait for the bigger time frames. But I will obviously take lower time frame trades sometimes. And this is completely separate to the setups we take on specifically on lower time frames, because that's a different type of setup. So, yeah, I guess that explains everything. Is there any questions about that? I don't think there's any questions because we cover that pretty much in every webinar. So, what am I basing this SR on? This one here, the one that it's stalling at right now. Basing it on this bounce, basing it on this here, which I know it bounced lower, but I adjusted it further up. But I'm basing on that too. Basing it on these bounces here. Most importantly, the recent bounce there. Well, recent data is most important. So the data that I give more weight to in this area is this, and that. So that would be that bounce, and that bounce. That's what I'm giving way more weight to because they're the most recent bounces. Then you give less weight to the ones before. So this one would be one of them where I realized, like I said, that it did kind of, that would better be placed down there. But I pulled it up to be more in line with the recent bounce. Oh, damn it. And then if you pull it back to last time it was down here, it also bounced from there. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that placement. Right. So I'm looking for a potential long from here. I'm looking for price to stall at this area, which it is already doing, but I'm looking for this daily candle to close. And then I'll be looking for a long trade from here. So I'm going to untick these actually and just leave the ones that we're looking at ticked. One thing, Ash, the more you look for support resistance, the worse your support resistance placements get. So the more you stare at your chart, the worse it's going to get. The worse your support resistance areas are going to get. The best support resistance areas are the obvious ones that stand out because those are the ones that everyone is using. And when I say everyone, I don't mean retail traders, because retail traders don't matter at all in the Forex market. I mean the big traders, the big banks, the hedge funds. They're the ones who have actual influence over the market. They're looking at the obvious ones that stand out on the daily chart or even on the weekly chart. They're not looking at little minor ones. So when you stare at your chart for long enough, then you'll start to see all these other minor bounces and you'll start to adjust it and try to line it up. And you end up with a ton of crappy support resistance areas. When you just place the most obvious big ones you see straight away, just by looking at your chart, you see what stands out, you're more likely going to be placing the significant ones. So when I look at my chart, and you always give more weight to recent data, when you look at your chart, don't think too much about what happened all the way back there. Think about what's happening here. Where do you place your lines? Well, the most obvious one is probably this one because that's a big bounce, followed by that one because that's a big bounce. So those two are the most obvious ones. Then for the ones in between, you've got this one, which lines up there, and this one, which has a single bounce there, but it's pretty strong bounce. So don't think too much about it. Place the most obvious ones. If you think too much about it, you're going to end up with crappy areas. New Zealand USD. New Zealand USD is stalling out. Let's remove these green lines right now. They're not part of this strategy. They're part of another setup, another strategy, essentially. I mean, New Zealand USD, it's not really doing much, guys. Again, we'll remove these green lines for now. We don't really need them anymore for this pair either. USD CHF has just been moving sideways on this area since Monday. A few of you got into trades here. I was just waiting for price to settle. Never ended up getting into the trade. New Zealand USD, you're in on the 12-hour. What are you in on? Unless your 12-hour chart's open at a different time to me, I don't really see why you'd be in a long here. Are you counting this as a continuation? All right, pending order. That's better to hear. Are you counting? Right. Okay. Reversal. That's good. That's a good start. This is not really a bad setup, but my problem with this is that price has already attempted to reverse from this level and it's stalled out right here. It stalled out here twice, so this is always my concern with these kinds of moves. Around about there. Wait, let me place that like this because it'll look better. More easy to visualize what's going on. So on its way up through here, it broke through the area and it stalled out there and turned around. Made another attempt from the support area, stalled down and turned around. Now, you're entering long, presumably with a target beyond this. Oh, that's your TP level? All right, that's okay then. Visually, this didn't really look like you could get a 1.5. Oh, okay. Never mind. Oh, you can get a 1.5 here. You can get a 1.8, really. Bit of a tight entry and stop. But you could widen out your stop. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Look, I have to admit, I was wrong. When I looked at this, I saw that this candle was quite big, and I thought there's no way that you could get a good target in by the time it reaches this area where it's stalled at twice. I made an assumption based on the size of that candle, and I kind of eyeballed where the target and stop would be. I was completely wrong. You can actually get quite a good risk-reward ratio on this. You could even pull off a 1 to 2 on this, which is nice. Yeah, okay. I see this being... Oh, yeah, yours is too. Yeah, okay. This looks like a decent trade. Well, not a decent trade. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say decent. I'd say average. It looks like an average trade setup. Now, why do I say average? Pretty simple, really. There is a lot of mess to the left. I mean, this area, this in particular seems like a pretty strong minor support resistance area. I know I've already pointed this one out, but I hadn't even seen that bounce there and this bounce here, and then price struggling through here. So it's definitely a pretty strong minor support resistance area. And even through here, it's stalled out, and price is pretty low to the low side of the support area. So I would say it's an average trade. So when I say average, what I mean is the risk on this setup is average. But yeah, it's a decent setup actually. Those are confusing terms. What does decent actually mean? When I say decent, I mean it's a setup that if you want to, it's worth entering. Price action wise, it's valid. Right, cool. Thanks for spotting that out. I totally just looked that one over. That's why I love having the forum. Because with the forum, I'm able to get alerts on setups that I miss because of sloppy analysis, which, look, I'm not perfect. You just saw a case of me being sloppy and not really paying enough attention and missing a potential setup. So with the forum and with you guys, essentially, it's not the forum, it's you guys, the members. You can point out stuff that I would miss because I'm being sloppy or because I'm just too busy and I haven't really had a chance to do proper analysis, or because I'm just lazy and I can't be bothered doing proper analysis and I'd rather play a computer game right now. But the forum kind of has a nice summary of what's going on. And that's because of you guys. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you specifically to Edward for pointing that out, but thank you to everyone for doing it throughout the year over the last 10 years. But anyway, before I get too sentimental, let's continue. USDJPY. Let's remove the green lines again. Whoa, this is just like a complete mess, isn't it? What does this look like on the smaller time frames right now? Definitely potential to trade these on the lower, trade this on the lower time frames, guys. But yeah, there's nothing on the higher time frames right now. USD CAD, oh, it's pulled away, hasn't it? See, that's the problem with USD CAD right now. It's the support resistance is so messy that it's hard to catch any of these halfway decent moves. Yeah, there's nothing really there right now. AUDJPY is pulling away from this support area here. But it's already pulling away, so it's too late. AUD New Zealand has turned away from this area here. But again, it's already made its move. I mean, it's hitting this area here, and it's already showing signs of pulling back a little bit. So let's look at the smaller time frames. Yeah, it's already stalling out, so maybe there's potential for a short here on AUD New Zealand. Maybe. Yeah, but let's keep an eye on it, but I'm not really too bothered with this one. I want to see what happens in the next 12-hour candle. Get an idea of how this candle closes, but yeah, I mean, unlikely that I would ever take a setup there. AUDUSD, just being weird. I'm going to redo my support resistance areas for AUDUSD. I think they need a bit of a refresh. This area here is pretty kind of odd with AUDUSD. The way it's moving through here. This kind of sideways movement. But it's not like it's not like it's uncommon for AUDUSD to do this, is what I'm trying to say. Even in this trend itself, there's been periods where prices move sideways. This one was obviously a long period of moving sideways, but there was also here, which was kind of sloping down overall, but still sideways movement. Here, sideways. So it's not uncommon for AUDUSD to do this and then continue down. So we could still be looking at a continuation of this downtrend. I mean, price hasn't been down here very often for AUDUSD in the last decade. Last time it was at this low was, I think we discussed this yesterday, actually, 2016 for a brief period. And then before that was all the way back in 2009. Yeah, 2009. So we're getting into lows that we have rarely seen post-financial crisis on AUDUSD, which is great for the Aussie economy and also great for us traders because there's potential to get in for an awesome reversal if it does in fact stall out and reverse from around about these lows, which is something we're going to be keeping an eye on. But right now, as for today, there is no setups, nor is there on Euro AUD that I can see, nor Euro CAD. Euro GBP, this one I'm kind of interested in. Like this area here is obviously kind of messy. It's in a messy zone because when you look to the left, look at the data you have here. This is mostly due to Brexit. I mean, look at these candles. It's just, EURGBP has just been a complete mess for a while. And now it's starting to kind of move a little bit like normal again, but not quite. And it's stalling out up here at the 200 moving average, which coincides kind of with this resistance area. When I first opened the chart, it was a bit lower, but, you know, resistance, like I said, or support resistance in general, it's never perfect. So the point is, it's kind of stalling out up here. I'm not really sure if I want to enter a short trade here just because of all that mess to the left. But I am going to monitor it, and I'll update you guys on the forum and maybe on YouTube if I do decide to enter a short there. But the idea is essentially prices stalling out at the 200 moving average, which is a support resistance area, and at my support resistance area or around it. And there is potential for a short there, but yeah, bit messy. Very messy, actually. Not a bit messy, very messy. GBP AUD, Euro New Zealand was nothing really. I mean, it is stalling out on the support area, but I don't really trade this pair, and I'm not even that confident with these support resistance area placements. I can't remember when I did them for this pair. Unless it's one of the pairs I update weekly, but I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not a pair I trade. I only really have this open because you guys trade it and sometimes you ask me questions about it, so I'll open it up and forget to close it, but I'm just going to close it for now. GBP AUD. Just making its way down. GBP JPY stalling out on this support area. Strong-ish support area. Had a few significant recent bounces. Even some bounces further back in 2017. So it's a good support area. Price stalling out heavily on this area. Let's keep a close eye on this one for a long reversal trade. Very curious to see what happens here. GBP CAD stalling out on support also, but that big long lower wick makes me apprehensive about taking a trade here, so I'm just going to skip that one. New Zealand JPY, nothing much happening. Don't even like the pair. Gold looks like it might start pushing up. I need proper support resistance areas on this, so let's just leave this for now. What's this? Oh, this is crude oil. This is just some futures trading I'm messing with at the moment. I need to get the actual data for it because see, it's delayed right now. You need to upgrade. It's so confusing though, because I'm not. Like, I do trade futures a little bit, but I have to be honest, I don't have a great understanding of how futures work, I guess, in terms of the listing of futures. So I'm not sure which one of these plans I need to sign up to. There's so many different ones, and they don't tell you what pairs they give you access to. Oh, not what pairs, sorry, what futures they give you access to. So I don't really know if I sign up to the E-mini, what can I trade under the E-mini? If I sign up to the full futures, what can I trade under there? It's all very confusing. But yeah, futures are pretty awesome to trade, guys. They're a bit confusing, but to get your head around how they work. But once you understand how the futures market itself works, you can trade price action on futures very easily. All the setups are there, and it's very similar to trading Forex price action. I really, really like the futures market. I am thinking of in the coming year expanding out into futures trading, just to bring some diversity to the forum. And I don't know, maybe you guys would want to join in on the futures trading. Maybe not. But I think there is a lot of potential in futures. It's quite an exciting and interesting market. Options also, but options are like completely mind-boggling. Very few people actually understand how options work. And I think that sums it up for the analysis, guys. I've been messing with futures for a while, but it's always just been like a little bit here and there. I've never taken a full-on serious approach to futures. Oh, wait. All right, I think this shows you the pairs you can access with the E-mini. So the problem with futures is to get data, you need to pay, I believe, probably it's going to be at least 100 USD per month just to get the data, which for some people, that's just way too expensive because you're not making that return yet that would cover that expense. So just getting the data on futures, it has a higher entry level is what I mean. But there are some, you can also pay $35 a month for the E-mini futures, which gives you access to quite a bit, actually. It would seem. See, I really like the crude oil futures. I don't know what that's under. Man, I can't explain it. Not in this webinar, anyway. I think we might do a webinar on futures trading in the future. Ha 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 ha. That was funny. Not really. We might do a webinar in the future, but it's hard to wrap your head around futures. It's hard for me to wrap my head around futures. It's even harder for me to explain it to someone else. And then options is like 10 times harder. But anyway, guys, let's summarize the analysis. We'll talk more about futures later. I don't even know why I brought it up. I had it open on my chart. I guess that's why. So EURJPY potential for a long reversal here. Let's keep an eye on the close of this candle. New Zealand USD potential for a long reversal here. Actually, surprisingly, has a good risk to reward ratio. Your first target should probably be near the top of this point where price has stalled previously. But you could definitely look to extend this beyond that up to, this resistance area up here. AUD New Zealand. Keep in mind though that New Zealand USD is still in a downtrend, so you are trading counter to the trend, and it's counter to a massively strong trend. So do be careful with that. Counter trends with care. AUD New Zealand stalling out at this resistance area. I mean, this one, I'm keeping an eye on it, but I'm not really that bothered with this one. This 90% chance this isn't going to be something I trade, because I don't trade this pair, generally speaking. The setup itself is not even really fully formed. Price is still moving up strongly. So even though it's stalling briefly right now at resistance, it doesn't mean it's actually going to stall out completely. So this one, let's keep an eye on it, but I'm not too bothered with that. EURGBP, another one where I'm not too bothered with. Price is stalling out up here, but overall it looks like it's going to continue to push up. If it continues to stall, there might be potential for a short, but again, it's like, look at that mess to the left. It would be hard to set any meaningful target here. And it would be hard for it to reach any target you do set. GBPJPY is something that looks a bit better. Stalling out on support, potential for a long reversal trade here. Let's keep a very close eye on this one. When this daily candle closes, I'll be looking, if it closes pretty much what it looks like now, I'll be setting a pending above the high, stop loss below the low, so something roughly like this for now, but that might change. A target probably up here at this kind of messy area, initial target, looking to extend that target obviously if I can, and similar with EURJPY, very similar to GBPJPY. So yeah, I guess that wraps it up for the analysis, guys. I really got to go. I've been here longer than I should have been. I should have left 10 minutes ago, so it's already a bit late. Recent data shows SR just above. No, I don't agree. Maybe you're talking about here. Oh no, we're looking at EURJPY, sorry. You were saying GBPJPY, my bad. Still, I don't agree. To get that pullback there, but all the significant bounces are from here. Anyway, let's discuss this on the forum, Ash. Mark it on the chart, post it to the forum, and we can discuss it there. I need to get out of here for 20-30 minutes, and then I'll be back and I'll respond on the forum. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for attending, and I'll see you guys for Tuesday's analysis, but obviously to all your members, I'll see you on the forum first.